Hi, it's Joanne. Today we're going to be watching Motherland for Salem Season 2, Episode 2, Abomination. The first episode was amazing. It was everything I wanted. My girls are back. It just put me in such a good mood and I'm just really excited to watch this episode. Of course I'm also scared because the episode is called Abomination and God knows what's actually going to happen in this episode. Probably a lot of stuff that is terrible, but I am excited. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction and all of my reactions, including my reactions to Season 1 of Motherland for Salem, on my Patreon. Though if you were going to join Patreon, I would wait until the first of the month rather than the last day of the month. Yeah, let's go. They can't do it again?
We can make it happen again. Keep me informed.
I'm stressed. Because I don't want them to use our girls in a bad way.
Alright, Bells. I know you've been waiting for this day
Oh.
in life, so what are we in for?
Yeah.
How do we meet our company?
What?
You need to all be
Some people
together.
are saying we only got in because your mom pulled strings.
Ugh.
Let people talk. We'll show them what we're made of soon enough.
They literally went and fought on the front lines and nearly died. More than you've ever done.
That there's someone powerful pulling the strings.
The
These
VP.
individuals, they're too well funded.
They didn't approve of who I married. They decided to keep me in the field and keep us apart. Every time.
I do agree with the
thought my girl was
message
growing up
of the spree.
I got angrier.
But murdering innocent people is
and that
so
anger grew
beyond
until
wrong.
I lost sight of it.
I'm your coven leader.
Oh, great.
Call me M.
Gross. Oh my god.
Gossip's all high school to you. Hi, Cavalier. Oh yeah, at your debut?
Like the one Elizabeth stole from you?
No one stole me.
And now you're a male witch at War College. That must be exciting.
Yeah, you can just say witch.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean to.
Kidding.
So there are male witches. Or men who are witches. That's good.
Enemy that wants nothing less but the eradication of our kind. I want the thought
Older is intense.
around you with total control and confidence.
You can see how she inspires so much loyalty. I still want to know why she has to be the head witch.
To keep.
If you're gonna bring intrigue to class, you're gonna have to make sure that there's enough to share.
I think this is the part where we keep silent.
Gail is the only person who touched the mycelium and walked away more or less unscathed.
They're still connected.
They are indeed, and I'm stressed. Yep. This is what they're not remembering, the time you killed people. But if she's feeling bad about it, then I like her more. Because she is just a brainwashed young person who had a lot taken from her and then was brainwashed by Rael's mother and others. Yep. Of all the places. None of them know that you caused this. And the Camarilla are taking these vulnerable people and brainwashing them themselves into hatred. All the spree did was create the perfect atmosphere for their greatest enemy to return. And invalidated their own message.
The victims of this war are not witches, but decent.
They're both. They have killed witches as well in battle, I think.
I think about them all the time. And there's this. Does it keep her up at night thinking about what she did? Is there anything
I love this.
human left in
But you're wrong.
No, she wasn't.
Remorse that's been written all over your face from the moment you walked in here.
Yep.
I've seen lately things about the army and Alder in particular that just don't sit right.
Yep.
Including the decision to just throw you away. Just has me wondering if there might not be a different way. We've seen each other at rallies the past few weeks. Yeah, feels like we're kindred spirits.
Anacostia getting on this. It is true that the spree's motives are right, but their actions are so bloody wrong.
Definitely.
Don't worry. It'll get better.
Oh, I love Tally. She's just so good. I'm scared that somehow the daughter's like a plant and the dad's part of the Camarilla, but I don't know how that could work. But I just love Tally.
I'd like your permission to tutor her, to get her up to speed and ready to start basic.
Your empathy as ever shines through. You have my blessing.
Tally is just everything. Tally is a hero to us all. She should lead the witches.
But what's important now is that we come together to stamp them out.
You do need to band
The
together.
stain of their blood from
I'm glad you're making friends, though.
She wants you to stay.
Maybe that'll give you another reason to stay. Something of my own?
It's definitely not canon.
Maybe it could be.
Is this the origin of the spree?
I think I could do that.
Better?
Better.
These are very intense dreams. So that was the originator of the sprees kind of work, right? Is it whenever she sees Older and is in contact with her, she gets dreams? This is a very terrifying class.
Has the army ever used this sort of work in combat?
No.
This is the domain of our enemies.
Tally knows different in at least one battle. This is a brutal class! Well, this class seems fantastic and not at all traumatizing for the cadets. Oh, I feel disoriented. Oh, that's horrible!
No!
Oh god. This is not going well that you've got this Tally. Because she's a specialist at locating and finding and searching.
A boys' club.
Never complained before.
Oh, abusive husband. No wonder she looks like she needs a friend.
I'm not.
Ridding the world of monsters.
I can definitely.
Yeah, oh me too. You are one of them.
That does not mean I want to work with the army, and I don't want to work with the spree.
Mm-hmm.
But
You can find a grey area between the two of you. Well, this is even more horrific than before. If those things start moving, don't move, please.
Screw this place.
Oh, why are they moving? I specifically requested that they did not move. You've got this, my loves. The strongest three in this coven. At least this era of this coven. Oh my god.
Very good, Craven. No one has ever beaten the dollhouse on their first try before.
She is.
There was no first room. We were here the whole time.
Yep.
Well done.
Where is everyone else? Oh fuck, have they been taken to do this experiment on them?
you touched her.
Isidore, please, no.
What the fuck?
Years of research that you ruined.
Is she just killing them, or is this a plan to make her do something with the power to save Abigail? Oh my god.
You are an abomination, and you will die.
Holy shit! Whoa.
The fear and the danger had to be real in order to trigger it. Thank you for approving the test.
Brutal! I hate this.
She's disappointed not to be a part of this.
Well,
Yeah.
Bellwether's
What they did to us today has nothing to do with being a soldier.
That's why Rael didn't want to tell anyone.
I trust her, you too. More tests? Apparently, just what I was hoping to avoid.
Oh, Abigail.
Gonna go back to the room.
Go with her, someone. It's hard when someone that doesn't want the test doesn't want anything.
I'm sorry.
You can never really trust them.
Can't trust you either. You kill innocent people. At least the army doesn't seemingly do that.
Yeah. My brother will always choose his people.
Kind of, that
Just
is an
will
important
always choose
thing.
yours.
Yeah. That is sort of a truth, unless she's willing, I mean she couldn't legally, unless she's willing to ditch the army and her way of life and go with him, or he's willing to sort of do the same.
Understand the army and
Oh,
our
I like
place in the world,
this.
you have to know our history. And knowing is one of the 4 principles, right? Oh, we are gonna have you ready for basic in no time. So,
Yeah.
I didn't always trust her myself.
I still don't fully. Or at least, I think maybe she intends to do the right thing, but I don't always know that she necessarily wants to stop people
Tell me,
from...
what is it?
That's the mission she saw.
There's something wrong with this photo.
They've erased the Spree founder.
There's no one there.
Tally. Sarah Alder still isn't fully trustworthy of all.
It's her. And someone's trying to hide her existence.
And that is dangerous that you know about it. I love this show. I adore this show, and every time it ends, it is the worst. Okay, so to start with Tally and her dreams, because that's kind of where we left things off. Well, to start with Tally, she's still my favourite. She's still just everything that is good and true, and she exemplifies what the army is supposed to be. I love that she is continuing with, like, you know, her... I don't know if her ability to track or any, find other source is going to be linked to Older, but I know in season 1 she was very much the most skilled tracker. She was the most skilled at sensing her surroundings. That was like kind of the thing that she excelled in. And this was kind of another case of that she was the one that instantly when they were in there was like, no, I'm doing the right thing. She wasn't kind of running around grabbing at things. She just was doing she was scared, like just like they were, but her senses kicked in and she was doing the brilliant job and she excelled in that class. And then with her dreams, is this woman the original member of the Spree or something? Because that using magic, containing it in something, and then that's the way the Spree operate. So, did Alder create the Spree? Okay, I have two theories. Theory 1 is that Alder created the Spree in order to give a reason for the witches to stick around, in order to kind of make people think they needed the witches so they wouldn't go against the army or something. Or B is just that Alder worked very closely with the woman that would one day leave to found the Spree. Maybe she tried to teach her and taught her a lot of what she knew, and then the woman saw something about Alder that Alder didn't want her to know, realised the truth of her tactics, or found something out about her and created the Spree against her, and now she wants to try and hide that there was ever a link between the army and the Spree. I think it's potentially one of the two, because I don't think Alder is a bad person. I don't think Alder is twirling moustache level evil. I especially think, having been connected to her, maybe Tally would have sensed that. But I think there is something that doesn't sit right with me about one person being in supreme command for 300 years, about one person getting to make all the decisions, about how many young women have given up their lives to be her biddies. I don't agree with that. And unless there is some very valid reason for why she needs to be the head of the army, I think it should have been something that was passed down over time, especially once she saw them reach a fairly stable point. And I think Alder's method of doing good is sort of, if you have to sacrifice a few dozen people along the way, but you get to the end result, then it's worth it. And I believe she truly does want to protect witches and make sure they have a place where they are safe and valued, but I don't know that she wouldn't use pawns along the way to get there, if that makes sense. That's my kind of fear with her. I'm very scared with Tally having these dreams, with Tally being this connected to Alder, that she may learn secrets Alder doesn't want her to know, and that could put her in danger, despite the fact that she gave everything to Alder. So I'm stressed for Tally in that way. Tally wanting to tutor the girl, I can't remember her name, I'll try and catch it next episode and make my brain remember it, is just her empathy that, you know, they all felt bad for her, they all saw her sitting there alone. Tally knows a little bit of what it's like to kind of join the army against her parents' wishes. Obviously her mother was also a witch, but she had an exemption. She very much joined against her mother's wishes. She understands what it's like to have a parent at home wishing you were anywhere else and kind of being cross with you for being just who you are to an extent. Though obviously I don't know all the ins and outs of the relationship between the girl and the vice president. I do feel like potentially he could be the head of this, not the Spree, the head of the Camarilla, because it's someone powerful and someone connected, and, you know, it doesn't sit right with him. Part of me is worrying that somehow he's faking his daughter's abilities to get a spy on the inside, but I think that might be a bit too involved. I don't know how they could give people abilities, then maybe they've discovered that. Then they would use it for their soldiers. I don't know. But I don't trust the vice president with attitudes towards witches. I am stressed out about that, but I do really love Tally for taking her under her wing, because if anyone is going to make you feel safe, warm, loved, accepted, like you can do this, like this is a good place to be, it is Tally. Her positivity is infectious. I adore her so much. Then War College is terrifying. It's very intense, but I guess that makes sense. And, you know, I do understand that kind of throwing them in at the deep end in a totally safe, controlled environment where they can't get actually hurt is a good way of training people, but it's also very scary, especially with no warning. So then we have Abigail and Raelle. So Raelle, we know it is just her with the mushroom. Now as a viewer, we kind of already knew that. I don't know if potentially connections to her sisters might make her stronger, might make it stronger, especially the fear for them will supersede anything. Fear for herself definitely brings it out, but fear for them will be something that will take it to another level. And was she already extra powerful? Because she definitely had some original workings. She was definitely already a very, very powerful witch. But yeah, the touching the mushroom and surviving it, I think, shows that she's powerful. Given that, from what they said, other people have touched it and not come out okay. I'm stressed. The test they did on them, where they made Raelle think they were killing her and Abigail, was horrible. It was horrific. Calling her an abomination, I know that was all part of it to get her scared and angry and to trigger like the response. Right at the beginning I kind of thought, oh god, that's what they're gonna have to do. And definitely Raelle, she didn't sort of join, she was the least willing of them in the sense of joining the army. She very much was conscripted. I don't know that she would have done it, well, she definitely wouldn't have joined without the conscription element, because of how it, A, her, the fact that she didn't have her mum the whole time, and B, that she lost her mum. As far as she thinks, poor thing, when she finds out the truth. A, it'll be brilliant because she'll get her mum back, but B, her mum is a mass murderer. For Raelle, I think since joining the army, she has found a place and a purpose, a better understanding of the women within it and the nature of it. She's much more aware of the necessariness of it in a sense of against the fight. I still don't agree with conscription. And she's found Raelle and Tally. She found Raelle and Tally, oh my god, she found Abigail and Tally. My brain. She's found sisters, she's found people that she would do anything for, and I think that is really important for her to kind of heal over her mother's death. Though we'll get into that because she's going to have a lot of trauma coming her way. For Raelle, as much as she's found that, and I think she's in a much better headspace with the army now, and even kind of better within herself having found it, I do believe, as we've seen, she is still the least trusting of the higher ups, and the least, it doesn't, when they do things that are abuses of power or are kind of that, oh no, we know the right thing, you don't, sit down little child, she is the one that it sits the least well with, which makes sense, but it's also scary for, again, what repercussions there could be if she says no at any point. I love this show because it's so true of kind of my views on the military in general. I am against conscription of any kind. It does not sit right with me. I can understand in like extreme world wars why you might feel drawn to it, but I'm against it. I am against a lot of military policies in general. I'm against war, that's for sure. But in this kind of circumstance where you have an enemy and you need to have these people, the way they're training them, I still don't like the fact that, you know, soldiers are supposed to just go, yes sir, and do it, even if they think, that's a dodgy order, I don't agree with that. And that is where I fear Alder will clash with our group. Because Tally did question her a lot, especially in that last episode, and then becoming her biddy made Tally kind of think, oh no, I've felt her, she's wonderful, she's amazing, she's the best person ever. And I do wonder where Tally's going to get to in this episode and how Raelle's going to clash with them, given that she was already a little bit reticent about following orders and older, and now she's the star pupil with all this attention. I think Abigail is definitely going to be feeling like the third wheel to an extent. And not even really that, but just she kind of thought, oh, I was with Raelle and we were this great weapon, we were going to do it, I made my mum proud. Though I think she made my mum proud by surviving and being brave and fighting. But, you know, she kind of felt like, oh, I'm living up to Belle, the name's going to be great because I'm part of this great weapon. And then finding out it's just Raelle. It's just Raelle who didn't even really want to join the army and didn't even really want to tell anyone that they had this power and didn't want to do tests and that she kind of gets the glory of it all, whereas Abigail is just the side note. And then even within class, Tally was the one figuring out. Tally has this connection to Alder. I guess maybe Abigail will kind of feel like they're both special and she isn't, to a degree. I think especially given that it's been drilled into her entire life, the Bellwethers are the best. You've got to be the best. Go be the best. Why aren't you the best? Be the best. I know her mum was kind of like, I'm not going to take it for granted this time. I'm not going to lose this second chance. But I do think that Abigail's kind of had it drilled into her that she must succeed. And while a lot of that has been softened over the last year with her reaching this point of loving Tally and Raelle, doing anything for them, viewing them as worthy just as much as she is, there will always be that little part of her head, because of how she was raised, that is, you should be as wonderful as them, why aren't you excelling as well as them, why aren't you doing as well as them? So I worry for Abigail that maybe some of that kind of self-doubt will draw in, because she didn't get to be part of the glorious thing that Raelle is part of, even though Raelle would rather not be. And I don't know, I mean, she's a fantastic witch, so I'm sure she will excel in classes, but you know, Tally did the best in that class. The only witch to have ever solved the dollhouse on the first go. and also Tally having the connection to Alder might make her kind of feel like, oh, they're both special and I'm not, which is not true in the slightest, but I could see how someone like Abigail might feel that. And then especially when she's dealing with romance troubles, in the sense that she's found someone that she truly cares about and she's falling for. It's the same girl who previously had been rubbishing the idea of finding someone that you loved, and truly bought into the idea that, oh no, you just get a guy for a few years, you make a couple of babies maybe, then you move on. It's all just kind of furthering the bloodlines, and it's not about love, and you might love someone but you love yourself more. Kind of, I feel like she was more dismissive of Tally's notions of love in the previous season, but she's truly found someone now. I don't know which kind feels about that, whether they are allowed to just find one person and settle down with them. I know Raelle said that they didn't, oh no, sorry, Raelle's mother said that they didn't agree with her choice of husband. Is that because he came from the session, or is that just because she wanted to marry someone that wasn't bloodlined and wanted to stay with him? I don't know entirely. I want to know more. I want to know exactly what the session is. But for Abigail, she's dealing with the fact that she's falling in love for the first time, properly in love, that he will probably leave her, because I don't see him choosing to leave his family, his people, especially when his sister is like, come with me, rather than being like, I'll be here. Given that the Turim have such special knowledge, I feel like there maybe should be a couple of delegates from them in every country to help, but I don't know. I do worry that he would pick his family, but I can't really fault him if he does as well, because they're his people and his family, so there is potentially heartbreak in her future, and having that coming on top of everything else is a lot for her to deal with. I do worry that Alder is going to try and do some sort of dirty tricks to try and keep the Turim, because as we've seen, like I say, Alder will do some things that are morally grey, if not a little further that way, to do the right thing in her mind, and she views that as okay, and I don't necessarily sit right with me. So I'm stressed for my girls in general. Scylla and Anacostia, I loved Anacostia's speech, like, very targeted, like, does the person that did this feel remorse? And I'm pinning that person for no reason. She is with her well and truly. Now, definitely the couple that they've met in the Camarilla, he is abusive to her for sure. Like when they said about getting drinks and he agreed, she kind of looked at her husband and then was relieved. I noticed that moment, but I wasn't quite, I was like, And then the way they were, and he was like, oh, you never complained before. He is definitely controlling in this relationship. Maybe she doesn't even necessarily believe the things he believes, I don't know, but the Camarilla scare me in a lot of ways, but that was just a very bad dynamic, and then you kind of think people like that will of course become the people that join hate groups. And I mean, the spree, whatever else has happened, they caused this, because when witches were just those brave young women and some men who go off and fight for our country, it's much harder to stir up hate against them. But when witches are also those evil terrorists, it's much easier to go, oh, the terrorists and the army aren't doing enough, when the army were doing everything they could to stop the spree, and they've lost a lot of their own to the spree. It's a very messy situation, but the spree created the exact environment for the Camarilla to return and flourish. And there's probably some kind of political motivation behind it from the VP or someone else, some kind of power grabbing motion that, you know, the people at the head of these groups, like Trump, hardly ever tend to believe what they're saying, but they just know it gets their base going. So this episode was fantastic as always. The ending where Tally figured out that someone is hiding something, and that someone is probably older, is stressful, but I cannot wait for the next episode. And season 1 I got to basically watch whenever I felt like it. I had it to binge, and season 2 I have to wait. I hate it. Reminder that you can find the unedited version on my Patreon along with all my reactions. I would wait, like I say, until the first month, and thank you so much for watching.